Hey, it's Rob Jackson from Fandroid.com, and this is our review of the Motorola Droid Bionic. The Droid Bionic is Verizon's first phone to have both 4G LTE connectivity and a dual-core processor. Let's take a quick tour around the phone and learn a little bit more about it. The Droid Bionic has a 4.3-inch QHD capacitive touchscreen with 960 by 540 pixel resolution. On the bottom of the display, you can see Android's typical menu, home, back, and search buttons, which are capacitive, and just below that, a little microphone hole. To the left of the phone, you'll see a micro USB port and a micro HDMI out. On the top of the phone, you'll see the power and sleep button and the 3.5mm headset jack. On the right side of the phone, we've got just the volume rocker. On the rear of the phone, you'll see a little hole at the top and the bottom, which help with noise cancellation, and then the speaker phones at the bottom left. The Bionic has an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus and LED flash, and it's capable of taking 1080p HD videos. You'll notice on the front, it's also got a front-facing VGA camera. To open the battery cover, you'll just see this notch right by the power button. Just stick your finger in there and try and crack it open. It does take a little pulling to get it open. Inside here, we've got a 1735 milliamp battery, and you can just snap the battery right out. And once the battery's gone, you can see this 16 gigabyte micro SD card slot that slides out of there, and then behind it is a 4G LTE SIM card. For Verizon on the CDMA network, you don't need a SIM card, or you can't use a SIM card, but for 4G you actually need to use a SIM card. Now this is not a world-capable phone, does not have any GSM radios, so this is just a 4G LTE SIM card, but that's how you put it in. And it's a little bit tricky actually. And you'll see this is one of my frustrations. The guts of the Droid Bionic are what really make it a special phone. It's got that 1 GHz dual-core processor. It's also got 1 GB of RAM and that 4G LTE connectivity, and we'll kind of explore that in more depth in a little bit. Along with all these features, the Droid Bionic comes with the typical things you'd expect in a smartphone, with Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, DLNA, and good stuff like that. For a screen with such a large display, the Bionic is surprisingly light at 158 grams, and it's also well less than half an inch thick at 0.4, I believe, inches thick. It's got that noticeable lip on the bottom that we've seen with other Droid devices, and by the way, the screen is made with Gorilla Glass, which is an extra tough surface, so if you've got your phone in your pocket and with keys, or you may drop your phone, the screen is extra resistant to scratching and breaking and cracking and things like that. So always great to see Gorilla Glass on your smartphone screen. The Droid Bionic launches with Android 2.3.4, which at the moment is the most up-to-date version of Android. No longer do we have the burden of Moto Blur, which was a very customized version of Android put together by Motorola, but we still have a lot of the pre-packaged apps that we see here. We've got Amazon Kindle, Blockbuster, Citrix, City ID. So a lot of these came pre-packaged with the Droid Bionic on launch, and you cannot delete from your phone. Go to meeting. So that can be a little bit irritating, but you've also got some awesome ones that come pre-packaged, like NFL Mobile and VideoSurf, and a couple other ones that are pretty cool, Slacker and ZumoCast. Motorola offers a bunch of different widgets that you can add to your home screen, and if you hold down on a widget, then you'll see the corners light up, and you can actually resize them, which is pretty nice. One thing that really impressed me with the Droid Bionic was the speed. Now, it's got 1 GB of RAM and a dual-core processor, so not only is this phone fast now, but it should be fast for the foreseeable future as, you know, more capabilities come to devices. But loading YouTube videos, loading web pages, once you have that combination of the 4G LTE connectivity, which you can see is connected now, but only got 1 or 2 bars, but with that speed of the 4G network that Verizon has, and 1 GB of RAM, and 1 GHz dual-core processor, everything's just really fast and really smooth. So the power of the phone is phenomenal. Folks wondering about the multimedia on this device should know that the multimedia does not disappoint. It's fast, it's smooth, the screen looks pretty good. The screen...
What's up, guys? guys. I grew up
Does look, and let's see if I do H high quality here,
the scruff again.
and it looks pretty good. Let me turn the volume down. The speakerphone, excuse me, the speakerphone is pretty loud as well, which is nice. But if you look at the screen closely, I'm not sure if the video camera will pick this up, but it does look a little bit pixelated, almost like they're like cross hatches within, and that might not pick it up perfectly, but it's like cross hatch, like sketching the way the screen looks sometimes. And you can notice this at other places in the phone as well. Let's see if we can spot it here. But that's kind of a little bit nitpicky. You see that if you're looking really closely at the screen itself. So playing games on the device is pretty awesome. Very quick, no lag, great looking screen, and very bright. And of course you've got this HDMI mirroring. So if you connect a micro HDMI cord here to your television, you can see whatever you're doing on your phone, regardless of what it is, on your television. So that's a really nice feature as well. When it comes to the Droid Bionics cameras, I was both impressed and disappointed. You can see this dedicated camera key at the bottom. Let me explain. So I was impressed. Whoa, look at that guy. I was impressed with the Droid Bionics. I was impressed with the Droid Bionic because of the software. So a lot of the different softwares, you've got to go around digging through menus and stuff. But with the Droid Bionic, it's really nice. You just touch this over here. Now I've got all my options. I've got various settings in this. And right now I'm on the front-facing camera up at the top right. I can switch to the back one, and you can also switch between video and regular pictures. So let me switch to the main regular camera here. And so on the bottom here I can switch between certain kinds of effects. I can go ahead and change which type of scenes, which, you know, you might want to do this macro if you're taking a really close picture of a flower or a bug or something. There's sunset, there's all types of things. Really easy access to all the options if you're quickly trying to adjust for a certain situation. But mostly I was kind of disappointed with the quality of the pictures. There were some that were pretty washed out. The flash does a decent job. You were able to capture some great photos, but it wasn't consistently capturing great photos. Unfortunately, the results of the pictures weren't as good as I've seen on a lot of other cameras, including some 5-megapixel cameras. The video was a little bit better. I mean, the video I thought would perform better than the pictures did, but still not exactly stunning. I mean, it does 1080p, but wish again that the camera performed a little bit better. Two things that are kind of the lost and forgotten measuring sticks for phones these days are how the actual phone sounds when you're calling people, so the call quality, and also battery life, which everybody is concerned about these days. I have to say the call quality was pretty good. Sounded pretty clear, not a lot of breaking up, or not any breaking up actually. So I really like the call quality. The speakerphone was nice and loud. So I would definitely give a thumbs up on call quality. Of course, that's going to vary by region, where you are, how good your signal was. Battery life, I would be a little bit concerned with. I mean, this thing is rocking a dual-core processor, which operates pretty quickly and should help balance the load on those two cores, improving battery life. It's running 1 GB of RAM and that dual-core processor, and it's got also that 4G radio. And battery life I found to be mediocre. So you may be a bit concerned with that. Of course, there are ways to conserve battery life. Turning off Wi-Fi when you're not using it. Turning off 4G when you only need 3G. Turning off Bluetooth and all that good stuff should help you to conserve battery life. And also, I always tell people, keep a battery charger. And now you've got all these phones that have the, micro USB as the standard, essentially. Keep a charger in your car. Keep a charger at your desk at work. And keep a charger at home, and hopefully whenever you're out and about, you're always replenishing your battery. So I think it's partially a matter of being prepared, but a couple things you'll probably want to keep in mind. Also, did you see that quick little green dot at the top? Don't want to forget that. That's a status indicator light, the little LED. It seems like a small feature, but when phones don't have it, it drives me crazy. One capability of the Droid Bionic that we won't be covering in this review are all the accessories available for the Droid Bionic. There are a number of docks available. One, which is a web-top dock, you can actually buy a peripheral keyboard and screen, which doesn't have any, CPU and of its own, but you can dock it in the back of like a laptop that flips open, and this actually powers your laptop. And then we've got the typical multimedia docks and car docks and navigation docks and stuff like that. That's our review of the Motorola Droid Bionic on Verizon Wireless. Definitely comes recommended, and it launches as the best phone on Verizon because it's got that 1 GB of RAM, dual-core 1 GHz processor, and of course 4G LTE connectivity. So that's kind of a hat trick of hardware that should keep your phone running powerfully over the next year or two, should you be the type to keep your phone for your full contract. There are a couple phones coming out in the near future which may offer upgraded improvements or performance. So things like a NFC chip, which this phone doesn't have, or world capability, GSM and CDMA radios. So keep an eye on that. If this phone came out when it was originally announced or near then, in January of 2011, it would have hands down been the best in the industry. Now, the way that technology moves so quickly, here we are in September, and still this is launching as a great phone. Anyone who gets it, I'm pretty confident, will be happy with it. But there are some better, potentially, phones coming out in the near future. So for the kind of tech head who needs to have the latest thing, you may consider waiting for the holiday season. For everyone else who just want a really great phone, definitely consider the Droid Bionic, and be confident that it will last you quite a while because of its strong hardware specs. So there you have it, the Motorola Droid Bionic for Verizon Wireless.